Fantasy football draft season is here. As we get deeper into August, we're ready to help you plan for your own redraft league drafts. Just like last week, we'll be running another 12-team, one quarterback PPR redraft mock, helping you figure out where players are getting drafted in this format. Coming to you live on Optimus Fantasy, this is Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. Ladies, gentlemen, all those in between or outside of it, welcome to Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan, right here on Optimus Fantasy, coming to you every Monday evening until week 1 of the NFL season. I am your host, Evan Sather. Tonight, I have a famous guest who I think is a pretty big deal. He is a full-time research and fantasy analyst for the NFL Fantasy team. He works on the Good Morning Football show on the NFL Network. He's also a fantasy analyst at For the Numbers, better known as FTN. He is also the host of the Rams Recap on the Sick Podcast, telling you everything you need to know about the Los Angeles Rams. Please welcome to the show, LaQuan Jones. LaQuan, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm very busy, as you can see, man. I hate that you had to read off all those things, but I'm glad to be here to be talking ball, man.
That is not a problem to me at all. In fact, I mean, if it's nothing less than impressive, to say the very least.
Oh, thank you, man. I really do appreciate the kind words, man. It's just still all fun to me, man. Like all this is what we all love, and again, football is back, and I'm just happy to talk ball.
And being that you cover so much, I mean, FTN especially, I love what you guys put out. I think the last thing I saw from you was covering that Travion Henderson got picked by the Patriots on draft night. So I'm guessing we're going to start to see more stuff ramped up for you on FTN as well.
Absolutely, man. I mean, look, twice a week, every week, I'm going out there putting out the short videos of all your favorite fantasy players. And I understand, like, right now, the podcast is only once a week from Friday, me and Matt Okada, but we're trying to ramp that up now that the season and the demand is coming a lot more. And obviously, with For the Numbers, man, we're trying to get out the latest and greatest content out there and keep you guys informed. And obviously, the data-driven website that we have, amazing draft tools out there. And right now, there is an exclusive promo code FIRE that is my promo code. Fire. I'm not a pyro or anything. It's just fire content only. That's just the little stick right there. But exactly, you can go over to FTN right now, ftnfantasy.com. Sign up, man. Get that NFL Pro subscription. Use the promo code FIRE to get 10% off, man.
Love to see it. You heard it here first. So ftnfantasy.com once you all get a chance to check this out after the show. So LaQuan, you also do the Sick Podcast, the Rams Recap on there.
Yeah.
You are now up to episode 26, which it sounds like it's off to a really good start. I haven't even hit episode 26 of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan yet. So
Wow.
you just had DeMarco Farr join you not long ago, which for Rams fans, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, man. It's funny how me and DeMarco met, and we met on set of Good Morning Football, and we kind of just were shooting the stuff and kind of going back and forth, just about the Rams. And coming to find out, we kind of live in the same neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. All right, nice. And then I run into him at the grocery store randomly, like months after I already met him on Good Morning Football. But here's the funny thing. The weekend in 4th of July, I am at a completely different location, different city, a different, grocery store. And I see him again. And I'm just like, what are the chances that I run into the grocery store again, months apart? And I'm like, look, man, the universe is bringing us together for an obvious reason. Like, we got to do some work together. Like, you got to come on my pod and talk some football and talk some Rams. So it was a great link up that I had with him over there at the Sick Podcast Network, the Rams Recap, where we were just having a good time, man, and just talking about our Rams and keeping everybody informed with the latest and greatest news that's out there.
Yeah, love to see what Stan did with the team. I know the city of St. Louis is not going to be happy to hear me say that, but I actually have a ridiculous Rams story. So when they were still in St. Louis back in 2013, I was with my family on vacation for the 4th of July weekend down there. I was originally supposed to do a 4-mile road race down there running, but I hurt my ribs doing something ridiculous. Ooh. I won't even get into it because it's kind of embarrassing. But my brother still ran the race. The Rams showed up to promote the season tickets as they were struggling a bit with everything that was going on in St. Louis. And of course, I put the poor girl that was passing out schedules through torture, just saying something like, I'd love to come to a game to watch my Bears beat you guys in your own stadium or something like that. And she made me take like 10 different schedules, and I just took them because she was a good sport about it. But That season when it got started, the Bears actually got destroyed by the Rams. I'm kind of glad I didn't see her again.
It was probably our defense, man. We were still kind of bad. Like around that time, I think 2013. Geez, was that the Nick Foles era or was that the Austin Davis, Sean Hill? I mean, I think we were going through quarterbacks, man. And I honestly think that, it was hard to be a Rams fan back in St. Louis. And again, those times were dark for me. And the kid from New Jersey, I'm just sitting here watching my team go out there, not put anything great on tape other than our defense with Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, Robert Quinn, and Chris Long just destroying the trenches. Those were the only reasons why we were watching the games.
If I'm not mistaken, that was pretty close to the Sam Bradford era, as short as I lived.
And Sam Bradford could not stay healthy. That darn knee, man. Like it was one of those situations where like he could have been the greatest Rams quarterback of all time, but we have not even gotten close to seeing that. So it was one of those things that was just tough seeing him get injured, and then we finally move on.
Gosh, I mean, at least you guys had Kurt Warner, where I think if I'm not mistaken, the Bears originally wanted to try out Kurt Warner, but he had something crazy happen to him, like a spider bit him, and he couldn't make the tryout training session for the Bears. So it was
Shout out to that spider, man. I'll tell you that. Shout out to that spider. I hope he's still around kicking because we got a ring because of you.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was quite the Super Bowl against the Titans back in '99.
Yeah, Mike Jones. I used to lie and tell all the kids at my school that Mike Jones is my uncle. Being that we shared the same last name, I thought it made sense. So yeah, stupid kid lies.
So we'll quickly go over just the draft settings for those of you who are curious about what we're dealing with. It's exactly if you tuned in last week, it's exactly the same. One quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, two flex spots, wide receiver, running back, and tight end, one defense/special teams, and one kicker. We got to give those home leagues some love that are still rolling with kickers and defenses because they got to know who's going where as well in those final couple of
Yeah.
rounds. Unless you've got that one person, that one casual in your home league that takes like somebody like a kicker in the fourth round, like we had last year in mine.
Yeah, those are very interesting league mates, but those are the guys and gals that tend to end up making it to the playoffs somehow. I do not know how that happened.
The sibling of one of my best friends in my 10-team league last year took Justin Tucker in the fourth, which was quite possibly
Wow.
the worst season to take Tucker.
Yeah, you took him at his worst, his very low.
That we found out everything that was confirmed about him in the Baltimore area was true, which
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I want to go down that rabbit hole right now. Yuck.
Ugh, real nasty work.
Yeah. So, without further ado, LaQuan, I'm thinking we should get this mock draft started. My friend, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. We're going to get it started a little earlier than we usually do, about 8 minutes. So, we got Pastor Sauce up in the one spot. Glad to have Pastor Sauce back again this week. So, Jamar Chase going off right away. Nothing too surprising, LaQuan. I mean, usually it's between Jamar Chase and Bijan Robinson. I mean, you might see a few Saquon truthers here and there, but what's the craziest 101 you've seen in a mock draft so far this year?
So far this year, probably Justin Jefferson, which probably doesn't sound too crazy, but with him dealing that hamstring injury right now, he hasn't practiced in forever with JJ McCarthy. Like, I'm a little worried about a slow start, coming off, this hamstring injury. And they're saying it's minor, like it's nothing too serious, but I don't know, man. Like, I've seen him go off the board at the 101 and 102 at times where I'm like, I'm not too sure that I'm ready to take him there.
What has you worried about Justin Jefferson going early considering the talent he brings?
The talent he brings is there, yes. And like 2023, where he suffered a hamstring that kept him on the sideline for 7 games, that's my biggest fear. And you're coming in with I would say, less experienced quarterback, but JJ McCarthy to me looked good in preseason, but I don't know if he's going to be good, for the regular season without a Justin Jefferson at 100% strength. So it's like one of those things I'm a little hesitant with the injury because we'd seen this happen before with Justin Jefferson where he missed time. And I'm not sure if I'm spending the 101 or the 102 pick on him.
So, yeah, because I remember what JJ McCarthy looked like in week 1 of last year when he played against the Raiders, and he was doing okay considering the draft capital that was put on him. And then the meniscus tear happened, and then just everything went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
So he's showing some rust in preseason so far. But do you have any concerns about the Vikings offense outside of JJ McCarthy needed to get used to the NFL?
Um, no, not really. Like I think even with Addison missing time, you still have Jalen Naylor there. So I look at that as like he's a good fill-in for Addison. I do
Probably should
feel
make
like,
your pick. There we go.
I do feel like, like you should have confidence within this running game. Like with Jordan Mason there, Aaron Jones, that 1-2 punch tandem. I think JJ McCarthy will be able to lean on them as well to keep the chains moving. I think that, TJ Hawkinson, obviously, now we'll get the full, healthy Hawk because last year coming back from injury, which was a nasty injury, which I'm happy that he's back. He's up and at him. They've been building a great connection during camp, him and JJ McCarthy. So I think TJ Hawkinson is going to be just firing out the gates, being his security blanket. And I think we get back to what TJ Hawk was his first year in Minnesota. So I'm really excited for him.
He's been dying for some targets, and I know that Sam Darnold didn't get him as many targets as he probably could have, but
Yeah.
Hawkinson's kind of started up a little late too. He needed to shake off the rust a bit, but so getting to your first pick, you got Puka Nakua at 108. It seems to me that the fantasy community is beginning to panic about Matthew Stafford yet again for at least the third year in a row. As far as I'm concerned, LaQuan, Matthew Stafford is not actually injured and missing time until there's actual definitive proof because he's just that type of quarterback who's going to play through that kind of pain until Coach McVay says, no, we gotta sit you down. So am I wrong for thinking this way about Stafford, or is there anything different this year?
Listen, I think people are a little bit panicky right now just based on we're 2 weeks away from week one and we're hearing reports that he's going to practice or he's not going to practice. He's in street clothes. He's in the Hollywood time chamber getting better. Like it's all just noise at this point right now. I'm not panicking as a Rams fan, and neither should the fantasy folks out there for Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams because we don't need Stafford out there right now in every single preseason game. We don't need him taking these reps. We don't need him to build this chemistry with a Puka Nacua because it's already there. We don't need him even building this chemistry with Devontae Adams because Devontae Adams is freaking Devontae Adams. So I'm not worried about any of this noise right now. All of it is just noise from the outside and guys that are looking in from the outside in. And I do think that with Stafford right now, where we're at with it, it's a good spot to just be comfortable with him. Just be comfortable knowing that he's doing everything he needs to do to get ready in 100% for week one.
And like I said, this has got to be at least the third year in a row that Stafford has had to do that. As I remember him as my NFC North rival,
Mhm.
having to just deal with those awful Lions offensive lines just kicking the ever living crap out of him, and he's basically being held together by metaphorical duct tape and bubble gum at this point. And he's still got the arm, and he's still doing it. And you brought up Devontae Adams as well. So opposite Puka Nakua, he will be replacing Cooper Kupp as the wide receiver 2 in the offense. I have
Yep.
Devontae Adams basically as a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. Is there more
Correct.
to Devontae at this point than I might be looking at as you
I
make your
think
pick here?
Devontae, I think Devontae Adams, right? Like people look at the Jets situation of like, okay, well, he kind of made Garrett Wilson kind of human. Let's just say that. And he kind of took away targets and all that stuff. No, I don't believe that's what this is the case. You have a way better quarterback that is going to be distributing the ball to Adams and Puka and even Tutu. Now, being at the joint practice with the Cowboys and the Rams, I was up there in Oxnard and I was able to see a glimpse of this offense, a glimpse of what it could be. And Adams and Puka are operating as literally 1A and 1B. These guys are going to generate targets. There's going to be games where both of them are sitting at 8 to 10 targets. There's going to be games where Puka has more catches, but Adams has 2 touchdowns. Like this is the operation of this offense that's going to be a high scoring, up tempo type of offense. And when you have Matthew Stafford distributing the ball, he's able to go anywhere with the ball and be able to feed his wide receivers. We saw it with Puka. We saw it with Cooper Kupp when he was healthy. These guys were playing off of each other where they were both fantasy relevant. So I'm not worried about any ounce of Devontae Adams showing any type of age regression or not being fantasy relevant or even returning back on his ADP, which again, it's very cheap. Devontae Adams has a chance to be a top 12 wide receiver this year. He has a chance to crack top 10 easily if Stafford is there week one all the way to the end to February.
With the arm and the talent that Stafford still has, despite the fact that he may not be 100% ever again, yeah, I'm fully with you. It's entirely possible that this offense is rejuvenated just with Devontae Adams alone. So as I'm building my fantasy team, my mock draft right now, I'm doing what I normally don't do, which is wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and now my first running back off the board is Alvin Kamara. So the
Hmm.
Saints offense is having a lot of really scary things. Looking at it from a 10,000 foot view, the quarterback situation looks rough. Tyler Shugg, of course, didn't play that well in his first preseason game, but that's kind of to be expected with a later round, projected to be a later round quarterback,
Yeah.
still getting used to the NFL. He's got Chris Olave, he's got Rashid Shaheed to throw to. He's still got Alvin Kamara to back him up. So now, since I took Alvin Kamara in the fourth round as my first running back, he's still a PPR and top 15 running back as far as I'm concerned. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think people are sleeping on Alvin Kamara. And I think we do this because we look at the situation around him and not really look at him. He just had career highs on the ground last season. He's still showing that he could be explosive. He could still show that he is still a weapon within the passing offense. So I think obviously with Tyler Shook or Spencer Rattler, they're going to have to lean on him as the most explosive player that they have on that offense, the most reliable. Chris Olave is a great pick in the later rounds, but you're gambling there. You're taking a risk. Like, he needs to be on the field. He needs to, availability is your best ability. Jawan Johnson, to sleeper tight end that I love grabbing in my last round of picks. Like, I think there's potential on this offense to be a lot better than what we're expecting, but the safe pick here, if you're going to go anywhere near New Orleans, is obviously Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm 100% with you, LaQuan. I see no reason to reach on anybody else besides Kamara. I love Chris Olave, but man, the brutal injuries he was taking, including those concussions, I hope
Yeah,
he'll
man.
still be the same and reliable for whoever's playing quarterback for the Saints, whether that's Shug or even Spencer Rattler for that matter, who he didn't look completely terrible, but he still looked kind of lost out there at times. But at least he can move the football if need be. So
Yeah.
when there's bad teams or expected bad offenses like the Saints out there, poor Derek Carr had to retire because of his injury, but um,
Mhm.
their tight end is Juwan Johnson. So you probably, as where I'm going with this question, you probably answered already, but is it reasonable to draft the rest of their skill players at their ADP, or do we have to fade anybody?
Um, you really don't need to fade anybody because like they're all cheap. They're free. Like I only fade like if I use the word fade, it's mostly likely guys in the first 5 rounds. Like guys that are living in rounds 10, 12, 13, 14, undrafted. Like there's no reason for me to even utter the words fade. Like everybody has a price and everybody has value in that price. So I think Jawan Johnson, he's a good pickup as a tight end too. If you take a risky pick and you're not liking Mark Andrews, slap in a Jawan Johnson that's free, that's undrafted. You put him on your watch list. Like there's guys on this offense that may pop up like Rashid Shaheed or above memes. Like there's still depth there to where guys have open windows to be, productive for this offense. So like I'm not against taking those shots, man. I love taking shots on guys that are unheard of. Like if we, and I say we as in the fantasy community, like where did Jordan Mason come from in 2022? Where did any of these guys that that pop up out of nowhere, like the Jalen Nailers? I'm gonna say that he's going to be a week 1 hero. I mean, the first 3 weeks we're gonna be that without Jordan Addison. Jalen Nailor's gonna be the number one guy that everybody's gonna run to the waiver wire to go get. Like that's just how it sometimes plays out. These guys are free.
I will definitely be targeting Saints in the later rounds of my fantasy football drafts this year too. Hoping my leagues are not listening right now because I just kind of gave away a little bit of a strategy, but knowing how disgusting that offense looks from a 10,000 foot view, I doubt it. And I'm looking at the team that I'm drafting so far and I'm rather disgusted with myself because I normally don't do this. um so aside from Amon-Ra, Bowers, Lamar Jackson, Kamara, my fifth and sixth round picks are David Montgomery and Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon is starting to go cheaper and cheaper because of his I think it's a foot injury at this
Yeah.
point. So he may not even be ready for week 1, but at that price, is he well worth grabbing as your RB3 to stick in an IR slot and then pick up somebody else on the waiver wire?
Absolutely. I think you build your roster. If you take the gamble like this on Mixon and he's your RB3, then you can slap, your RB4 with some upside. And I think a lot of people, man, they sleep on Joe Mixon. It's like they forget like what he's able to do on that field. When he returned back from injury last season, he was the RB2. like behind Saquon Barkley. Like folks forget, like 21 fantasy points per game was a real thing with Joe Mixon. Those spike weeks are real with Joe Mixon because he's able to be involved in the passing game. There's nobody better on that depth chart that can be a red zone or goal line threat. So it's like Joe Mixon's damn good. When he bounces outside and he gets upfield, he's very hard to tackle, ladies and gentlemen. So getting him as your RB3, God, that is great value. Just keep pushing him down. Keep pushing him down in the drafts, man.
Yeah, and all Houston wants him to do is just run with the football, which is what he does best. I don't
Yep.
expect Mixon to do anything great, which he never has in the NFL, but I love Mixon as a pure runner. But enough about my team, LaQuan. Let's look at what you've drafted so far here. So
Oh,
you went strong with Puka and Drake London in rounds 1 and 2, followed up with James Cook and Travion Henderson in 3 and 4, and then Devontae Smith and Calvin Ridley in 5 and 6. I think Calvin Ridley at the 6-5 is crazy sick value considering how the Tennessee Titans are another offense that looks disgusting on paper, although Cam Ward did look good in his first preseason game. So
mhm.
at that price for Calvin Ridley, Laquan, is that great value or is that right about where you expect?
That's right about what I expect. A lot of folks are still looking at Calvin Ridley of last year, even his time in Jacksonville. He hasn't returned back on that wide receiver one value. This year, though, I do think he is upward of that 1,200 yards. Like he is my Terry McLaurin of this year with Cam Ward. And I say that because just what we're seeing from Cam Ward in that one preseason game. But even in his college tape, there's cool, calm, collected presence in the pocket with him and his ability to stretch the field and be able to put the ball anywhere he wants to be on the field. This is exactly what Calvin really has been missing. He's been missing somebody that can make quick decisions. He's been missing somebody that has the awareness in the pocket and be able to slide in and out of that pocket like a Patrick Mahomes. And then he has that effort ball like Josh Allen had. So it's like one of those things of the quality and trait that you want in your quarterback to be able to get the ball to the best player on the field. And that is Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley's speed is so underrated. It's not talked about enough. Like he is up there as one of the fastest wide receivers out there in terms of quickness on the line, in terms of route running, in terms of separation. So he is upward of that 1,200 yards in my projections, just based on what we've seen from Cam Ward out of college and definitely in preseason over the weekend.
Mm. Yes, and Ridley looks to be the only competent pass catcher they've got that isn't a rookie in that offense right now. At least Cam Ward will have a great veteran who is reliable to connect with, but unless it's going to be Elikayo Manure or unless it's going
Yeah.
to be, oh, what's the other rookie's name? I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but whether it's
Oh,
another young
Xavier Restrato,
Rest,
Reposado.
Restrepo
That's
or
how
something like
Restropro.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like Cam Ward is also going to have to work with a lot of youth on a rebuilding Titans team that I'm not so sure is heading in the right direction. But at least for
Mhm.
fantasy purposes, I'm happy to take Calvin Ridley at that position. So let's get to a question here from Lou here. So he says, "All right, Laquan, who's a couple of your least favorite picks in the first 5 rounds? Like the guys you just don't want to have to take that high."
Oh man, I hate where Bucky Irvin's going. I really do because I feel like RB8 right now is way too high. And I do think there has to be some type of thought of regression in this offense without Liam Cohen. And there has to be some type of regression with Rashad White there, which I know he's dealing with a groin injury, but you still have Sean Tucker there. Owen Wright looked amazing with his opportunities in preseason. I know this is guys that may be in street clothes in the next 2 weeks, but these are guys in the room where that running back room is very healthy and good enough to run a 1-2 punch. Like if we remember with Bucky Irvin last year when they gave him the keys for the first time and then he ended up getting banged up and it took 2 games just for him to bounce back. Like I understand folks want him to be that 20 to 25 touch type of running back, but just based on his size, I'm not quite sure that's a good idea. Getting that straight out of the gate, okay, so what is it going to look like by week 8, week 10, when we get closer to the playoffs, when that ramp up did happen last year and his touches? I don't want that out of the gate, and I don't think we're going to get that return drafting him in that high in what, the second round. It's like he goes in the mid-second round where I'm like, hey, I rather the wide receiver options here, or hey, like I rather pivot to other running backs that are workhorses like Josh Jacobs. Like Josh Jacobs has nobody behind him. Josh Jacobs is on a Packers offense that were a top 5 rushing attack, which is going to create tons of scoring opportunities. You got Matthew Golden now stretching the field, getting them to that 1-yard line. You're just going to hand it off to Josh Jacobs, and now we're looking at 15 to 16 touchdowns from Josh Jacobs again. Like I just feel like there's better workhorses in that range or even later that I can get that same upside or get that same return than Bucky Irving going in the second round.
Lou also followed up with words that I was also going to mention too. He basically took them right out of my mouth. And the coaches will not stop talking up Sean Tucker, no matter how much the fantasy community wants to bury him. So LaQuan, I am so glad to hear you say what you said about Bucky Irving, because I am baffled by the hype that that man is getting right now. Sure, he looked great toward the end of last season, but
Yeah.
Rashad White is still there. Sean Tucker is still a beast when they're willing to give him the football. And I just don't see why he's going to get more carries than potentially Jonathan Taylor or Josh Jacobs or Kyron Williams or even James Conner, for crying out loud. Like, it just doesn't make
Yeah.
much sense to me. So that being said, are we going to expect to hear a lot of people crying about how Bucky Irving is a fantasy bust, I say in air quotes, when he's drafted too high?
It happens every year. And you know who's to blame for that? The fantasy managers that believe the hype. Like, you have to understand, like, last year is last year. This is a new situation. Things change. There's injuries on the O line. There's different things that could be happening within that offensive game planning rather than what it was with Liam Cohen. So again, I'm just staying hands off. When guys get too expensive like that, I kind of run away because it's like I can find that same type of upside. It goes the same with the quarterbacks, you know, like I'm not into taking a Baker Mayfield over a Bo Nix or a Patrick Mahomes, but that's how his ADP is sitting right now. QB7 for Baker Mayfield. I don't think we're going to get that again. I don't think we're going to see 40 plus touchdowns. I don't even think we're going to see that same rushing upside. So there's so many different factors of this Bucks offense where I'm like, hey, I'll let the fantasy streets do their thing, but I'm going to go do this over here.
So Kent has a good question in the comments. I'll get to that in a moment. But the one last thing I definitely want to say about Baker Mayfield, he is a quarterback who is the beneficiary of the Mike Evans treatment. Mike Evans made Jameis Winston look great. He made any quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look great, and he's definitely making Baker look like $1 million in the NFL. And I'm with you. I do not want to trust him as a QB7, even in these mock drafts or even the real drafts right now. And you mentioned Liam Cohen, who became the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Vince Mapstone took him at the 8-6, which is, I don't even know how many running backs went off the board before ETN went, but I still feel like a lot of people are sleeping on ETN down there, where, yeah, he's probably not going to be the lead running back for too much longer in Jacksonville, being an Urban Meyer pick, which, I mean, I thought that was ridiculous at the time, but his talent still can't be denied. So,
Yeah.
LaQuan at the 8-6, for Travis Etienne, if you get him this late as your fourth running back, are you going to reap the benefits of Duval?
That was a really good impression, by the way. That was like spot on. But Travis Etienne, to me, man, preseason, we saw him play all the snaps with the starters. So it's one of those things where you didn't see Tank Bigsby until later. I think this backfield is going to be a three-headed monster. It's going to look exactly like Tampa, where Rashad Tootin will be the Sean Tucker. I don't think Tootin is ready to take on that RB2 reins, but Travis Etienne is still going to be involved in this offense. And to get him as your RB4, you're not taking any risk there. You're taking all upside. So slapping him in on a bye week of Chuba Hubbard or even Breece Hall, you're looking like a genius now, because Travis Etienne has the same upside and same role as a Rashad White in Tampa, where Rashad White was very serviceable as a flex option. So I think Travis Etienne fits that bill right there. So I'm not fading him.
I'm with you on that. And then Vince Mapstone followed up in the 10th round with Ramondre Stevenson. I love that pick. Vince has been great at the late running back picks, where Travion Henderson might be the RB1, as Kins pointed out. We'll finally get to his question. Speaking of Ramondre, how would you feel about having Travion Henderson as your RB1? You took him as your RB2 at the 405. He's having a great preseason so far, and we're thinking that's pretty reactionary to how we looked, especially on special teams, returning some punts and kicks. But Travion Henderson is your RB1. Are you ready to go that far this year, LaQuan?
No, I'm not ready. I do think after this year, we'll have a better idea of if he fits the RB1 tier. I do think he's a solid RB2 with incredible high upside. Some incredible spike weeks are on the table for him. Like I'm talking spike weeks of 20 plus points. That is on the table for somebody that could take it home for 100 yards. That is somebody that is going to be heavily involved in this passing game. That is somebody that can even make the case for yourself. I could paint a beautiful picture right now where he is the second target option in this offense behind Stephon Diggs. I know we're all in on Kyle Williams. I know we all love Pop Douglas. And Hunter Henry's still there, but is that really a functioning offense if we have Hunter Henry as our number 2 next to Diggs? No, you get it to the best and most explosive players. And I think McDaniels understands that. This is James White, but the incredible upgrade of just having the electric speed that Henderson possesses. So I'm not ready to put him as an RB1, but I am locking him in as a RB2.
Sorry, I wanted to let you know that you had a few seconds left on your pick, but you were on a roll, and I could not stop that, man. I would have felt bad to stop that roll.
It's okay, man. I ended up with Justin Herbert. I guess I'll take that as my QB2.
Index of Suspicion also pointed out that Tom Brady made Mike Evans a Super Bowl champion, and yeah,
Sure
100%. That Super Bowl ring would not have happened without Mike Evans. That's for darn
Can
sure.
they share that ring though with Winston, man? Give Winston some love, man. He put the ground and foundation and culture in Tampa, man.
Yeah, I unfortunately I don't think I could agree with you on that one, LaQuan. Winston. Don't get me wrong, he's funny, but he's also been documented as kind of a weirdo, and I kind of want to distance myself from that.
Oh man.
But so yeah, a lot of teams so far have gone with the 2 quarterback approach in a 1 quarterback league. It's a surprisingly number of them so far. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4
I don't
teams have
count.
taken. Well, yeah, you had the auto pick, so yeah, we won't count that. But 3 teams so far have taken 2 quarterbacks, whether intentional or unintentional. I am not a big proponent of taking 2 quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league like this, but
Mhm.
let me make my next pick here before I finish that question. We'll go Kincaid for the heck of it. So what I did last year in my league was that I got Jalen Hurts in the 4th round, and then in the 3rd to last round, uh, uh, why am I blanking on the Commanders quarterback? Oh
Jaden
God,
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Thank you. So I got Jaden Daniels as a really late value pick that I never like taking 2 quarterbacks, but I got them both. To my surprise, I ended up trading Jalen Hurts in that season to go get another wide receiver. So,
Oh.
when you don't plan on getting 2 quarterbacks like that, and you happen to get a rookie that exceeded the fantasy points that Jalen Hurts is getting, do you go for that strategy?
Uh, kind of. Even in 1 quarterback leagues, I do like slapping a QB2 that I could secure that's mine that I don't have to run to the wire to go get. But that QB2 is going to be an insurance policy on my QB1. For instance, if you take Patrick Mahomes, now Patrick Mahomes, he's a household name. His name sells, but the last 3 years has not been great for him in fantasy. He has not been in QB1. So in that instance, I'll slap on like this year a Bryce Young or a Michael Penix, try to take that upside. I don't think I'm ready for Cam Ward. I don't think I'm ready for Shador. We don't know when he's going to start. Same thing with Jackson Dart. Not with this rookie class, but guys like second year folks like the Michael Penix of the world. If I draft Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to slap Michael Penix there, later in the rounds. He's going outside the top 20 quarterback. So like you're not paying such a hefty price where it could be all upside at that point.
Kintz also has another question. Are you worried that Ramondre will take away the majority of Travion Henderson's work? I don't see this happening, LaQuan. Do you?
No, I mean, this is the same guy that got benched last year by Antonio Gibson. So it's one of those things that he has fumbling issues. He's not as explosive as Henderson. Like I think he'll only be out there again where it may not even be on 3rd downs because Henderson's a very good pass blocker as well himself. So he shares all the traits and qualities that you want as an RB1 of your backfield. But looking at Henderson, him sharing that backfield with Junkins, in college, it's like it was much needed because he suffered an injury. So the last time Henderson was a workhorse was his freshman year of college. And I don't think we're going to see that again. So I do think it's going to be a split, but it's not going to be a noticeable split to where you're going to be like, oh man, it's Stevenson again in the red zone. Like, nah, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I'm fully with you with that as well. So yeah, we have seen a lot of running backs like Ramondre Stevenson, and it's funny enough, like Antonio Gibson has also had fumbling problems in his NFL career. And
Mhm.
there's always that one season where a lot of these backs have that problem, but then they turn around and then they fix it for the next season. And that seems to be the issue with the oh god, why am I blanking on the Jacksonville rookie they took? Bashal Tutin. Bashal
Yes.
Tutin fumbled a lot at Virginia Tech.
Mm.
Does that disqualify him from being a good late round pick, which Dan the Man took at 1106?
I think that's bullish because I think you still have to factor in the two running backs ahead of him. And I don't think that Liam Cohen's going to play Tootin over Tank Bigsby right now. Tank Bigsby seems to be the darling in his eye. And then Travis Etienne, the veteran there over both those guys, like he's still going to be involved as well as the Rashad White if you want to play the mirror and role. So I think you're taking the chance thinking that he's going to leap one of these guys. Like I equate that to taking Sean Tucker there at that point.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one where I'm not even a big Tank Bigsby fan, as I just see him as AJ Dillon, but with less talent. Does Tank Bigsby get more carries to take away work from ETN? And does he improve upon last year? Because I did not see him as very efficient.
I see this offense taking a step forward in terms of efficiency of like how these running backs are going to be used. I think Tank will be used efficiently. He won't be a full-time, all-time, like early down back, but Tank was way more explosive than Travis Etienne. The only thing that Bigsby doesn't have is the pass catching ability. Like I do think that's where he's discounted at, where Travis Etienne might take on that role. So it might literally be a 1-2 punch, where we're just going to have to guess which weeks is this guy's going to be the guy. I do think it would be a lot better than a Najee Harris and Jalen Warren situation. Like, I don't think they eat each other alive. I do think there's going to be weeks where one will be better than the other.
Do you see that happening for a lot of these perceived split backfields that appear to be happening with multiple teams across the league? We just came out of a rich running back draft class, and now we've
Oh,
got
yeah.
we've got some seemingly split backfields in Pittsburgh, the LA Chargers, the New England Patriots. We don't even know what's going to happen with my Chicago Bears with how good Kyle Monangai looked back there.
Yeah.
So with James Conner, guys like James Conner are probably among the few like actual lead backs left. Is this going to spell trouble for a lot of leagues having to deal with a lot of split backfields?
No, because we've seen it done efficiently. Like we go back to Kevin Stefanski's first year with the Browns, where you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They were both used and utilized in a split situation, both fantasy relevant. That was the year I said, "Screw it, I'm gonna draft both of them," and they ended up being very efficient on my teams. Like I feel like we need to get used to these 1-2 punches. Like I think there's an opportunity there where you look at James Cook. He played less than 50% of the snaps. Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, they ate their opportunities up, but James Cook still was very good at fantasy. Yes. Like folks don't need to be on the field for 70% of the time, like a Kyron Williams, to be one of the best. Like we're seeing these numbers come down as we get, later into the seasons because guys can't handle 17 games all by themselves anymore. Like it's not 2005, 2006, where the guy gets handed the ball 360 times. Like, no, that's not even reality anymore. Like same thing with Saquon. Like I do think there's opportunity for a backup there to take some of the load off because Saquon played a lot of football last year, folks. Like it's insane amount of football that he played last year, including the Super Bowl. So it's like this is where I think the league is going to go, even to control the running back market as well. Where like, hey, I'm not going to pay you top dollar anymore because you're sharing the backfield. Like I think this is where the new age of the running back splits are going to be happening, and folks need to get used to it and be able to have their head on a swivel.
So a lot of people are also starting to go sour on Saquon Barkley for that same reason. Where, yeah, like you just said, he played a lot of football last year. He had over 2,000 rushing yards on the ground. He wasn't needed all that much in the passing game because Jalen Hurts is great on his feet, and they have elite wide receivers in both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and even Dallas Goddard can surprise some people from time to
Yeah, he
time.
was a top 10 tight end last year under the
Absolutely.
radar.
A lot, yeah. A lot of people don't even remember that. I didn't even remember that till you brought it up too. That's how under the radar
Yeah,
he's been. So
seriously.
that being said, this is not Scott Fishbowl, but I managed to get Saquon Barkley with the 11th pick in the first round because a lot of people just skipped on him for some reason. Jamie Perrogue at 103 made sure to go get Barkley as the second running back because he's a real one. He knows that Barkley's still in for another RB1 season. But I don't see anybody like a Will Shipley taking like 30% of the snaps away from Saquon Barkley. But I mean, there
Mhm.
may be some weeks where he's going to get 30% because the Eagles are blowing somebody out like the Raiders, right?
Exactly. There's no point to keep Barkley on the field if you're blowing the Raiders out like that. But I do think there's opportunity, for that backfield to figure out who could take the load off of him. Because again, I'm a little worried about Saquon, and I say that because when we look at all the 2,000-yard runners, all those single season leaders, the Derrick Henrys, the Barry Sanders, the O.J. Simpsons, like they've all had these 2,000-yard seasons, but there was some type of regression the following season, and like I like to point to like Saquon Barkley, like how quickly do we forget that this guy has an injury history? Like how quickly do we forget like the injuries started to pile up on him? Like again, I put CMC in that same tier where CMC is known to have multiple different injuries per season at this point. So it's like I don't feel comfortable taking Saquon Barkley at all. He is my number one fade running back in the first round. It's Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's it that I'm taking in the first round.
The first three running backs that went off the board are Gibbs, Barkley, and Bijan Robinson. So it's a pretty safe lock that those are going to be the first three running backs off the board, unless we
Mhm.
get some weird homer in some league that wants to take Derrick Henry or something like that for some reason. So,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much the consensus, right?
Yeah, but even look at that. Why take the risk on Barkley at the 103 where, you have Derrick Henry that goes at the 203, and that's the same gap in upside. Like both of these guys are top 5 running backs. Both of these guys can be top 3 running backs in terms of fantasy points per game. So I just don't see the need or risk to go get a Saquon Barkley.
So if you do end up somebody with like a Saquon Barkley, gone are the days of for a lot of leagues where it goes running back in the first 2 rounds, which we were
Oh
doing a
yeah.
lot in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And Andrea 59 and Boomer 690 were the only 2 teams to go running back in this mock. So Andrea 59 went Bijan Robinson, followed up with Chase Brown, and then Boomer 690 went Ashton Genty, followed up by Derrick Henry. So if you have to grab somebody like a Christian McCaffrey the way SDP 272 did, do you absolutely have to follow that up with another running back like a Derrick Henry, which SDP unfortunately did not do?
Uh, no. I like that he got Brian Thomas because I do feel like, CMC, if he does hit, he hits, right? Now, he waited until the 5th round to get another running back. That I wouldn't have done. I would have waited in probably the 3rd round, grabbed a running back there, which a lot were available, I would say, where I probably would have took Kenneth Walker there. But I know Kenneth Walker's dealing with a foot injury. It's kind of weird right now. He has a nasty injury history, but we all know if Kenneth Walker gives us 17 games, he's a top 5 running back in fantasy. And Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator for Seattle, he just got career highs out of Alvin Kamara, the guy you took.
That's a really important thing to note here because that's exactly what Clint Kubiak did for Kamara. I see no reason why he wouldn't want that for Ken Walker as well. But what's
Mhm.
looming in Seattle is the fact that they still have Zach Charbonnet, who kicks absolute butt every time he steps onto that field. I don't remember that guy ever having a bad game outside of his uh, rookie season, which I believe he got hurt that season too. So, but every time
Mhm.
he's on the field, he does fantastic. Zach Charbonnet went by Andrea 59 as well at the 9-4. As your RB4, you can't get any better than Zach Charbonnet, right?
That's the type of pick you want to make as your RB4. Like that is in the range of where like I rather Zach Charbonnet over a Jaden Blue, over a Najee Harris, over a Ray Davis, over Ramondre Stevenson. Like these names, these are just guys that may not even crack fantasy relevance outside of your bench. So it's like Zach Charbonnet, at least he's going to be on your bench. And when his name is called, he's putting up some big numbers. And I think Zach Charbonnet has proven that these last couple seasons. So yeah, I definitely agree, man. Like that is a complete steal in the 9th round. I'm mad I let that one slip.
Yeah, because by the time it came back to me, I just settled on Cam Scattaboo, which I'm just willing to take a flyer in the 9th round as this is not typically how I like to draft, like I said at the beginning of the show, but it's fun to take some chances on guys that you normally don't do in a situation where at least this is not going to turn into a real league. But
Yeah.
um, so as I keep talking about my team over and over again tonight, so if you see a team that drafts like this, at least with this format where it's like wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, and then wait on running back, I'm no zero RB guy, LaQuan, but I
Mhm.
don't mind exploring an opportunity to wait a little bit at running back for a lot of them to go off the board first and then see where else you can find value before the middle of the rounds go here. So if this were your real fantasy team, LaQuan, would you be at all worried based on how it's structured?
No, your first 6 picks are solid, man, and I do think that, a lot of people are down on Mixon like we spoke about. David Montgomery as well is straight I think it's straight cash to be able to get him still where he's going in drafts, and I think a lot of people are down on him because they think Gibbs is gonna get a larger workload, but David Montgomery is great when he's available. So, honestly, you went balanced, like, you got an elite wide receiver, one lock, got the elite tight end lock, and then you got probably the best quarterback in fantasy right now in Lamar Jackson. Like, how can you come away from the first 3 rounds complaining? So to secure your running back 1, 2, and 3 essentially in the next 3 rounds, that is just a strong start, brother.
So you bring up David Montgomery. So I did what I normally don't do last year in my home 10 team PPR league was that I managed to get too many Lions in that one league. I also got too many Buccaneers in an 8 team league, but in this one I happened to get a lot of Lions fall my way last year between Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown. I had almost the whole offense at that point. I
You're just
didn't end
missing
up
Jared Goff.
yeah, I was definitely missing Goff. I didn't get the stack, but even when you stack without the quarterback like that, going Gibbs and Montgomery last season, just solid RB1, RB2 last year. There are not a lot of teams where you can do that for both of their running backs, but now that it seems like a lot of other teams are trying to copy the Lions when it comes to solid running back production out of like 2 headliner guys like that,
Yeah.
is it wise to try that strategy with other teams like the Chargers, the Steelers, the Seahawks? Well, any of those teams.
No, I don't think we've seen another duplicate of the Lions 1-2 punch. Like, there's teams that can try to do it, but we haven't seen it done on that level since, I would say, again, like 2017 with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, or again, Kevin Stefanski with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Like, we haven't seen it done to that elite levels to where we feel comfortable with, a Jameer Gibbs as our RB1 and then have Monty as our flex. Like, those are sweet spots right now. That is the rarity outlines of right now. And like, there is some teams that could set it up. Braylon Allen, Brees Hall could be that with Tanner Strand. I mean, it's very Ben Johnson influence. Like, that could be the next, Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, or even your Chicago Bears with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monongai. Like, that could be the 1-2 punch, but we just haven't seen it done yet. We haven't seen it applied and haven't. Man, I do like Denver's backfield as well. J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. That could literally be another tandem of like 1-2 punches that could be available to you in your flex and your RB1 or 2. Like, I just need to see it happen this season so we can have this conversation next year and be like, yeah, there's legit like 4 to 5 teams that you can get this off.
Definitely. So Lou Brunson brings up another good question. All right, now I got to ask this of LaQuan. Who's a guy or two who's not going in the top 5 rounds who should be? I think, LaQuan, we have a lot of examples of this, but what's your answer to this?
That's not going in the top 5 rounds that should be. There's a couple guys. Like, I do think like you can make a case for like Calvin Ridley. You can make a case for obviously with Joe Mixon falling with the injury. Jordan Mason, I think, I don't want to get too high on him, but I think he should be in the first 5 rounds. I think he'll meet that quota in 2026 when he gets that extension for the Vikings and Aaron Jones rides off the sunset, but that's a whole different conversation. But there's a couple guys like that you hope can give like top 5 type of like energy is like TJ Hawkinson. Like, I think he's a steal because everybody's chasing Bowers, everybody's chasing McBride, everybody's even chasing Kittle, getting that value, but Hawk is going to see a lot of volume out the gate. Like, there's going to be games where Hawk is going to be looking a little bit better than some of the guys that are going in those first 5 rounds.
Even Travis Kelce still got taken before Hawkinson, and I don't want to doubt Travis Kelce until he can't play anymore. But
wow, he did.
He went as the tight end 5 in this particular draft, behind Laporta, Kittle, Bowers, and McBride, which is not really that much of a surprise anymore if you've seen enough mock drafts. But is Kelce still a top 10 tight end until we see evidence otherwise?
I will have to say yes, just based on who the quarterback is, the team, and obviously the situation. They're going to feed him if he's out there healthy. Like, I do think last year was like one of those years like, man, like we got burned by Kelce. But where he's going at in drafts now, I don't think you feel that burn. Like I kind of feel like you have stability at the tight end position, knowing it's Travis Kelce, and you didn't have to pay a premium price for him.
Yeah, so basically, he is a steal at 608 if you get him that late as your first
Yeah.
tight end.
I've seen him
Where
fall even further, like the eighth, ninth round, where guys are just completely inflating, like Loveland and Tyler Warren, who I took, which I feel good about. But I think that, when the new shiny toys come in, and then guys that are kind of like the Evan Ingrams and David Njokus of the world, you just feel a little bit more secure and better with them than a Travis Kelce of what we've seen, these last couple seasons.
So before we get to the fantasy football taverns question, I wanted to point this question out to you of my own here, LaQuan. So I feel like in redraft leagues, we're finally starting to see the spillover of the overvalue of rookies among a lot of these redraft leagues, where I feel like the advice for best ball leagues as well as dynasty rookie drafts have finally spilled over into redrafts, where you start to get into the dead zone as far as like round 6 and in between there, where too
Mm.
many people are starting to overvalue rookies, where I would much rather take chances on veterans. So, for example, you got Dylan Sampson going in the 1103, but to be honest with you, I think I would still rather take a chance on somebody like a Jerome Ford, who's probably going to be leading that backfield over Dylan Sampson, even if Jerome
Uh,
Ford sucks under center and he's only good from the gun. So, do you see rookies being overvalued now in redraft leagues?
It depends on the position, because I think the running back position for rookies does get a little bit pulled up more than the wide receivers. Like there's examples of last year's, like with Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going in that back in the first round. I never agreed with that. I never agreed with that. I thought that was a little too expensive just based on the expectations. But I do think that the rookie running backs, they get pushed up, inflated a lot more than the wide receivers at times, because we're looking at the situation at the old dog that can't do new tricks as the RB1, and then they bring in and draft a new shiny toy. All the attention goes to that rookie running back that we think is faster, stronger, and et cetera, et cetera. Like I do think that the rookie running backs, they end up being more traps than the wide receiver rookies.
Mm. And speaking of those trap running backs and the dead zone, that's what the Fantasy Football Tavern asked here. Shout out to you, Kendall. My question of the night, he says, as far as the dead zone running backs go, which I'll say is anything on or after round 6 or close, who's your favorite value pick and your favorite fade?
Favorite value pick is Jordan Mason. I talked about him a lot. He's going in that range of the dead zone where guys are just looking at him and Aaron Jones in back-to-back rankings, and they end up going with Aaron Jones. Like Jordan Mason is a real threat to Aaron Jones's production. They already announced that they are co-starters there. So there's guys like that is like great value there to slap as your RB2 or RB3 at that point. And I do think guys that I am favorite fade, I would say, man, what's a favorite fade for me? Um, Travis Hunter. There you go. Travis Hunter. I'm fading. I have my concerns just based on conditioning and health on a week to week basis, playing snaps on both sides of the ball. We just saw him get freaking stiff armed, his head bounce off the ground from Caleb Johnson, like making business decisions. And I think there's going to be a lot of business decisions when he has to go up against these bigger backs in this league. So I do think that Travis Hunter right now, there's all the circus and entertaining on him playing both sides of the ball. For fantasy, I'm not touching him in any of my leagues.
I think I'm with you on that one, Laquan. I do not want any shares of Travis Hunter for his rookie year. He's going to need time to get used to a Deion Sanders-like role where he's going to have to get used to playing both ways. And, I don't know exactly how his endurance looks, but I'm sure it'll get there for the NFL level. But
These are grown men. These
he's a
ain't
grown
college kids.
man. But I'm thinking by the second half, he's going to get gassed out at some point, which could open up some targets for other guys like
Yeah.
De'Ami Brown, which is a favorite late round pick of mine, who I don't believe got drafted in our mock here. But if you're looking for a sleeper wide receiver pick like that, do you even look at somebody like a De'Ami Brown, or are there just much better options out there?
Absolutely, you entertain the idea of De'Ami Brown. And we saw him make flashes with Jaden Daniels last year in the playoffs. Like, he's a deep threat, and I think Liam Cohen wants to utilize that to catch a couple of defenders off guard because De'Ami Brown's not a household name, but I do believe that there is some ball left in him. There's something to prove this season, and with this fresh start, and I think with an actual plan and direction behind him, De'Ami Brown can literally be the surprise of week 1 and 2, just based on the opportunities we saw him get in preseason. We saw a designed trick play to De'Ami Brown before we saw it to Travis Hunter. So obviously they're trying to utilize him in different ways, like him lining up in the backfield, him going across the formation in motion. Like, De'Ami Brown needs to be a name that folks need to know, at least, at the very least, to put on your watch list.
Watch list is perfect, especially for a 12-team league with 5 bench spots,
Yeah.
like what we're doing right here. But I gotta say though, I would still rather take a shot on a De'Ami Brown over guys like Wandale Robinson and Pat Bryant and even Tyler Lockett for that matter. Do you see a case for taking a shot on a wide receiver 3 in an offense like him over guys like Wandale who? Who's to say that Wandale's going to get 140 targets again and get
Yeah.
anywhere after the catch?
I do think Wanda Robinson right now is having a very strong camp. And I say that because of just what we've seen from the videos and the beat reporters saying. And he has a QB upgrade. Like, I'm in on Wanda Robinson. I'll take it. If he's going to be peppered with targets, if they're going to be stretching the field with him, and that moon ball is still active with Russell Wilson, I do think that, Wanda Robinson could be an interesting pick. I love myself some Pat Bryant. I'm taking Pat Bryant in those later rounds 100% just based on Sean Payton, him being all excited about being able to find his Michael Thomas 2.0. And I think when you see the reports about Pat Bryant, all the talks are about his football IQ, his ability to separate not separate, but be able to pull away because his physicality of his wide receiver techniques. I do think that Pat Bryant's going under the radar because he's not a household name. He's not a guy that comes from an elite or a high talked about school, but he's in the perfect situation with the great coaching staff. He's handpicked by Sean Payton, and obviously what they needed last year was kind of like a tall, lanky guy as a wide receiver too. Devon Bailey and Joshua Reynolds, they really didn't cut it. So I think Pat Bryant comes in as the new shining toy. So I'll take those chances with him possibly being the number 2 option in the Broncos County.
And you are not lying either about University of Illinois not being a football school. I am convinced they will never, ever be good at football. They are a basketball school, hands down. As an Illinois native, I've seen that year after year. We'll get to one more question here in the comments here from Sean. What are your thoughts on Tony Pollard?
Look, Tony Pollard last year, he kind of surprised me in some of the stats that I saw on FTN Stats Hub, man. Like, he was top 10 in explosive rate. And I'm like, wait, Tony Pollard? And I'm remembering, I'm like, hey, Tony Pollard was very explosive in his time in the Cowboys before that leg injury. So I'm like, it kind of makes sense. And now with Tajay Spears bringing up that, a high ankle sprain, now that he's banged up right now, I think Tony Pollard's set in direction to be the RB1 with max opportunities out of the gate. Like, I don't think there's a backup there that can really take over Tony Pollard in his role because, again, you can use him in the passing game. You can use him in the red zone goal line area. And obviously, he's your early down back. And I think him being efficient, being in this offense now with Cam Ward, and I honestly think that Calvin Ridley brings this offense closer to scoring opportunities. You're just going to hand that ball off to Tony Pollard. So I think there's great opportunity there for him to be a sneaky RB2, RB3 in a lot of drafts.
Yeah, it's like Lou Brunson said in the comments, poor Tajay, love his skills, hate his health. And this is yet another case of the poor guy probably going to have to miss some time. So, LaQuan, as we're starting to come to a close on the show, I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody else in every single episode. Who had the best draft here?
Who had I'm not going to say me, even though I do think it was me. But best draft, because I've been eyeing up Boomer 690. I do like his wide receivers. I see the idea that he's going for. Like JSN, he's obviously the alpha of that Seahawks offense. Same thing with Marvin Harrison, but can he connect with Kyler Murray? I do like George Pickens, and that is your wide receiver 3 as your flex. Boy, the upside is there. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on this Cowboys offense. Like, Dak now has a wide receiver 2. That is scary. Like, do you understand? Like, where did I even take Dak? I took Dak in the 10th round. This is a top 3 quarterback 2 years ago. Like, what are we thinking right now? And, like, to get this combination of wide receivers, this is a solid wide receiver room. And I didn't even mention Ashton Genty and Derrick Henry that are sitting in a 1-2. Like, that is insane. Like, if Ashton Genty gets Derrick Henry workload, if he ends up being anywhere near a splitting image of what he was last year in college, Ashton Genty could be the RB1 in this backfield with no competition. But that is all in the likes of hoping that the Raiders O-line is anywhere near good, because god awful what it was last season.
And go figure, Pete Carroll joins another team with a notorious bad offensive line, just like the Seattle Seahawks were during his time.
And I do think that, a lot of people are sleeping on Chip Kelly too, because he wants to run the heck out of that ball, man. Like, that's exactly what him and Pete Carroll are on the same page about.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as we are starting to wrap up Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan here, I want to get to a few sponsors and other things you need to know before we go, starting with our Discord community with Optimus Fantasy. If you're not in our Discord community yet, what are you even doing with your life? I'm serious. This is where the real action happens 24/7, and it's completely free to join. We've built an incredible community where you can get everything you need to dominate your leagues all year long. We're talking best ball advice, DFS lineups, live NFL draft coverage with real-time updates, deep dynasty discussions where we debate rookie values and trade strategies, and some of the sharpest NFL betting insights you'll find anywhere. But here's the thing. It's not just about the content. It's about the community. You've got thousands of fantasy fanatics in there sharing advice, breaking news, celebrating wins, and yes, commiserating over those brutal bad beats. Whether it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m., someone's always in there ready to talk ball. Check out the link in the show description now. It takes 30 seconds to join, it's completely free, and I guarantee it'll level up your fantasy game. Come hang with us. Also, Fast Draft Fantasy. All right, fantasy fam, let's talk about Fast Draft. They're absolutely revolutionizing the best ball game right now. They just dropped something called the Rabbit, and this is a game changer. We're talking about a true 15-round best ball draft that includes quarterbacks, no kickers, no defenses, just the positions that matter. And here's the kicker, pun mildly intended. You've got a 20-second clock per pick, which means you can knock out an entire draft in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes! Plus, they've got a $50,000 prize pool up for grabs. And because you're a part of the Optimus Fantasy family, Fast Draft is hooking you up with a $50 deposit match when you use promo code OPTIMUS. That's OPTIMUS. So head over to fastdraft.app, get that deposit match, and start crushing some rabbit drafts. Trust me, once you try that 20-second clock, you'll be addicted. LaQuan, I am so glad you came on Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan tonight. Thank you so much for coming.
Heck yeah, man. Invite me back, man. I want to do another mock, man, right before the season, man. I got to make sure my sword is sharpened for my draft that is with the cutthroat season, folks, over there back in New Jersey, man. I love you guys, man, but I am coming back for the crown.
Absolutely. No, we'll definitely let you know as well. Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, this has been another episode of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. Once again, I'd like to thank my guest, LaQuan Jones, for joining us this evening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to FTN Fantasy, NFL Fantasy Football, and the Sick Podcast Rams Recap, all on YouTube, so you can see more of LaQuan's work. You can also find the Rams Recap anywhere you prefer to get your podcasts. LaQuan, tell the people what else you have coming up over the next few weeks or months that they should be checking out.
Oh, man, I got a lot of video content coming out of FTN Fantasy these next couple of weeks. We are ramping up, man, because folks are back outside. The draft boards are being taped up on the wall right now in the basement, so we need to get folks ready for the draft. So there's going to be tons and tons of videos getting ready and prep for the drafts that are coming up. And obviously, man, 3 times a week we are ramping up over at the NFL Fantasy with me, Marcus Grant, and Michael Florio, where we're going to be helping you guys as well on a weekly basis in season, basically getting your start and sit lineups ready. So I got a lot coming from the Rams recap as well. My next guest should be a very special guest, and he is part of the Rams trenches of the old years. He is actually Les Snead's first pick as a general manager. That is going to be a little sneak peek.
Oh, there we go. That's gonna make true Rams fans happy everywhere, even from the St. Louis days. Also, thank you to everybody who joined the mock draft this evening, because it is darn near impossible to do a mock draft show without folks like you mocking with us. Next week, we will be running a 10-team, 1 quarterback redraft PPR mock, catering to those of you who are in the smaller leagues. Joining me for that one does big work for FF Today, Fantasy Points, and the Football Diehards podcast. With that combination, I'm going to let you all try and figure out who that is. If you know, you know. If you would like to join us for that draft, please join the Optimus Fantasy Discord server so that you can get first dibs on a draft spot. You'll find the link in the description. This has been Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan here on Optimus Fantasy. Have a great night. We'll see you all next week. Take care.